Welcome all who are participating in the 5D Village. We have 23 people online, and we have a good dozen or so folks here at the temple in Sebastopol. And we are so grateful to welcome Meg Benedicte. And let's let her kind of introduce herself.
Thank you, Dan. Well, it's just a thrill to be here with you in your 5D Village. For that feels like home for me. So I'm just thrilled to be able to connect with all of you in this sacred space that Dan and his friends have created there in this temple. This temple's beautiful in Sebastopol. And so just a quick intro of how I kind of got here. For those who are new to my work, I had a spontaneous Kundalini activation in January 17th, 1994. This was the Northridge earthquake in Los Angeles. And it opened up all the circuits and blew everything open, and my angelic soul was able to walk in. And from that point forward, it was a whole kind of redirect to 2012. Like, that was the goal. We got to get to 2012, and we've got a lot of work we got to do here before we get there. And so at that point, that's literally within hours of that activation, I started my ascension. So, you know, this involves a lot of opening up and clearing and awakening and really working on embodying the divine self, you know, the soul presence. And to do this, I just intuitively started communicating. I had never even meditated before, so I had to learn how to just kind of sit still and quiet the thinking mind and start to communicate with my higher self. One of the benefits of coming in as a walk-in is my whole chakra antenna tower was open, so I was able to get direct communication, and I had the clairvoyance. So it's like all of that, kind of my toolkit, everything that was there was available. And so it's been 24 years of listening in and following the steps and kind of testing everything out. And what began to unfold and develop was this knowledge dating back pre-Atlantis. So this is prior to the fallen consciousness. This is universal alchemy that has been overtaken or overridden by a dominating matrix program on the planet. And so a lot of what we had in the past history has been hijacked or distorted or corrupted or used for nefarious reasons. And so this is coming in from the crystalline dimensions, the 12 dimensions and higher. This is coming in its purest form in the true law of one, so that we can begin to, in a sense, connect to our divine heritage and be able to activate all that sitting inside us dormant, waiting for this time. And so as I went through the steps and got familiar with how to work with the sacred geometry and the harmonic tones and the crystalline light and, you know, all the things that we put together and use and utilize for our ascension, it kind of created, in a sense, what I would call a tool, you know, a technique, a tool that we can all apply in our own private process and in our own private spiritual practice. And it is, think of it as an acceleration tool. Everything starts picking up, everything starts speeding up, and it helps us break free of the time density lockdown. So as I've gone through, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna jump in once in a while. Okay, Meg?
Yes.
All right, so beautiful. Meg has been teaching this vortex meditation, and we want to really bring focus to this specific tool that she's talking about.
Yes.
We're gonna, as a sort of almost like a major part of this presentation, we're really gonna break down what it is that she has to offer. But there's a couple of things that you said, Meg, that I think are very interesting for the conversation we've been having in this 5D community here in Sebastopol. And that is, one, you're saying that there's been interference So did we, who were we originally, and what was the interference? If you can give us a nutshell version of that.
When I would go into remote viewing, because I wanted to know the exact same thing. What did the original human blueprint look like? And so when I would go back in time, I'd use the vortex and spin through time and dimensions, go back in before the fall of Atlantis. Humans were very advanced. They were not polarized. They were not locked into just a 2-strand double helix dual spin limitation. They were up to 12-strand crystallized beings that it was so fascinating to look at them and think of it kind of like a morphing field. And so we weren't, you know, locked in like a rock, you know, we weren't dense. We would respond to consciousness that would move through us, and our whole being would respond to that consciousness. So we were quite advanced as in the original, I would say, divine human blueprint.
And then what happened?
Then what happened? Okay, then
and who was it that happened to us?
Yeah, so then when I would go, okay, what happened is, so we kind of zeroed in on Atlantis and the fall of Atlantis, and even the problems in Lemuria, even before the fall of Atlantis. We started to see that, you know, planet Earth was becoming quite popular, and so we were having other races coming to the planet from other star systems, and it looked like, based on the Orion Wars, so in the Orion Belt there was these aggressive reptilian races creating these Orion Wars, and this bled into Earth, and they came here for our resources. They came here probably, they say, for the gold. They came here for a lot of reasons, but I think also that I feel like they're like a parasitic race that goes and invades planets and takes all that they can, and then they move on to the next one. So they started showing up. Even when I would go and look at, I'd remote view to Zep-Tepi, Egypt, it was all these beautiful human beings and ET races that were loving and benevolent and of light consciousness. But then I started noticing more and more of these draconian or reptilian ones showing up, and the vibration just started to drop. I also think, I'm not quite sure when, but then I started noticing those invader reptilian races were also partnering with what we call the archon or archonic consciousness, which is, I don't see that as a physical consciousness. It does look like, in my way, when I view it, as more of a very low vibrational dark consciousness. So they began to team up in their quest to dominate and conquer the planet. So I think Atlantis was part of that.
So we've been in a situation where we've been essentially hosts to parasitic, kind of higher dimensional entities, would you say?
Yes, then they can be non-physical, fourth dimension, non-physical, or they could actually embody into a three-dimensional human form. They could take form. They don't do as well here because they're not built for this planetary atmosphere, so they do tend to either take on a human form or they stay at four-dimensional astral.
And they're much more powerful than we are, right?
Well, the way we are now.
The trick question.
Yeah, not when we were originally built, but they're very good at creating holographic realities. They can travel back and forth through timelines, so they're kind of sneaky, and they're able to insert in what we call the matrix simulation. So this is entirely artificial holographic realities, running programs through the reptilian brainstem. So they're very good at that. And I think also when they started kind of eroding the human DNA to basically a dual spin, double helix lockdown, we started losing conscious awareness. You know, we started disconnecting from our oversoul or I am presence, and we started disconnecting from source. And even what I began to notice, it was almost like it was this kind of big magnetic field wrapped around the planet that was trapping souls in this recycling. So death, rebirth, death, rebirth. So it's, I don't even think the original human blueprint was dying. It was eternal. So it's been a real degradation for the human race. And I think that's why we've all been called to come here to help out.
Yes. And so let's look at what is possible. You know, what do we do with this, and where are we going?
Well, the way I've been going through it myself and helping others is starting to unwind that degradation. So starting to open up the genetic code, pulling out, clearing out like the hybrid reptilian human code. Let's just start getting out the heavy metal toxins. Let's start to unwind and clear out the degradation and begin to kind of create this sacred environment so we can actually start to embody our soul presence again, bringing that divine self and human self together inside, where they start to unite. You know, left and right brain have been disconnected by the matrix. Start bringing that together. Our masculine and feminine has been divided. So all of these aspects of ourselves coming back into unity consciousness. So we're reuniting everything, even being able to access our energy body. The time density created, in a sense, this barrier between the physical body and the energy body, and we couldn't get through it. So part of what this tool does is it unlocks that time barrier, so we can actually access both the physical and the non-physical bodies and start to harmonize them and bring them into coherence. And so it's all about unlocking and unwinding so that we can bring everything back into union again.
And when we do come back into integration with our sort of our whole self and our integrated self beyond duality, then what happens to this intervention? What happens to the programming? Okay,
so what I've been seeing, because many of us have been here a long time, and so we've been working at this for a while, especially since the harmonic conversions in '87. And so things have been picking up speed since then. But what I really noticed is in the December 21st, 2012 activation, I got a real clear image of the controllers, the invader race, losing control of the matrix. So that means then, in a way, I got kind of this image of like NASA and the viewing room, and the screen went blank. You know, they lost control of the matrix. So that's what's been happening for the last 5 years. All of that amnesia and you know, bipolar experience and the degradation of, you know, disease and degradation of the physical health. All of that is unwinding. It's coming apart. And so this is why we're seeing so many people awakening now, like just masses of people awakening now. And also since that event, we've been getting a continual series of solar flashes coming to us from the great central sun at the galactic center. So all of that photonic light infusion is also waking us up and bringing us higher consciousness and really kind of unlocking that genetic hybrid code that was creating the death and disease. So we're in a sense decomposing all of that so that we can then, in a sense, rebuild where we should be.
Beautiful.
Or used to be.
Yes. Okay, so there is this concept of ascension, and there's this concept of the fifth dimension. So what do we mean by that? And how does this fit into what you're saying?
Okay, so we were incarnated into the third dimensional earth in a three-dimensional body. So what is it? Height, width, and depth. And that has kept us locked in only being able to rely on our physical senses. Then as we started to do spiritual practice, that began to open us up to the fourth dimension of time and space. So then we started to astral travel and begin to get beyond just our physical service to self mentality. We started to realize, hey, we're part of this universe. And so this is all kind of this unwinding. Then we go into the fifth dimension, which is a field. It's a feeling field. It's not a mental field. Third dimension is a mental field. It's actually controlled by the left brain. As we continue to unwind and advance, we're opening our brain centers to the fifth dimensional field, which is actually guided by the heart center. So it's a feeling field. And so this is where we begin to really develop our skills and abilities as empaths, as intuitives, as creators, as alchemists. So this fifth dimensional field is as I experience it, is a non-polarized field. So it's more harmonious and collaborative, and it is run in unity consciousness. So it, when I first started accessing it, it was kind of like it was a neutral field where the particles and virtual particles and all ranges of frequencies and light were all kind of bobbing in this neutral field together with no aggression. So there's no polarity. It's like it's a neutral field. And so the fifth dimension feels so different than what we were born into and what we've been living in. And it takes a while to kind of get used to it. And the way we can enter it, of course, is by opening up the heart center, healing any wounding of the past persecution or past wounding in this life and past lives, and really getting that healthy, happy heart, just filling the soul light into it, getting the love quotient really up, increasing the frequency in the heart. And then this, in a sense, creates like a bridge of light into that fifth dimensional field. These fields exist on the planet simultaneously. So it's not where we have to leave this planet and go to another planet. We just have to work with our energy and our hearts and our frequencies to kind of open the gate, open the portal, and then we can be able to start to move into it and live in it, even if we're experiencing people around us who are still in the three-dimensional field.
So what does it look like when we really come to that place of fully stepping into the fifth dimension, or fulfilling the ascension process? And there's this idea of the rainbow body, the light body. Where does that fit in? And how is it different from maybe the traditional, like, Christian concept of rapture?
Oh, okay. Well, I think as we acclimate into living in the fifth dimensional field, we start to live on a crystalline light. So we're not as dependent on food or emotions or relationships or money or any of the things that fed us in the three-dimensional field. We start to get fed on love, and we get fed on crystalline light. And so within that crystalline light, of course, is the rainbow ray. I always experience the rainbow light as unity consciousness. It's just the entire spectrum of light, the rainbow light. And I think because you're starting to embody the soul now inside, you feel very present, and you feel whole and complete, and there's nothing missing from you. There's no more codependency. You're not dependent on outside sources. You're literally building your own source in the core of your center. And think of it kind of like you start to become the center of your universe. You are the source of your universe. And when you come into that type of experience, you're calmer, you're happier, you're not as you're not reactionary. Your heart's just overflowing with so much of that abundant love that you are just beaming it everywhere and sharing it with all who you encounter. And you start to see through kind of a new lens of service to the greater good, and having compassion for everyone, no matter where they are in their process. So it's very much a unifier energy, I think, that pulls us together instead of us all kind of fighting our way in this polarized environment. very much unity consciousness in action, how I experience it.
Okay, beautiful. Okay, so we're definitely doing the condensed version of all this. And because we really want to get to the quintessential gift that you're bringing with the help of Metatron, I understand.
Yes.
I actually have this beautiful mandala that is in the temple, and I'm wondering if it'll show up on the screen here.
Yeah.
Yep, you can see it.
That is Metatron too.
So what can you tell us about this baby, and how does this relate to, how does this relate to your vortex meditation?
Okay, so what Dan's putting up is called Metatron's Cube. And as I experience it, it's the template of alchemy, and it's the geometry of creation in our universe. And in its original purest form, if you saw how elaborate and complex it is inside, embedded into Metatron's cube is the 5 Platonic solids. So these are the true shapes of how atoms and molecules form, matter, basically how crystals form. And so the 5 Platonic solids are the tetrahedron, which is the embodiment of plasma and fire, the element of fire. Then we have the octahedron, which is for air. Then we have the isocahedron, which is of water, and the square, which is of earth. And then the dodecahedron is for ether. Also embedded in there is the double star tetrahedron Merkaba. So when we work with this template and activate it with our own life force, our own light, that begins to open up within our energy field. Also, when you look at Metatron's cube, it's made up of outer 6 circles, inner 6 circles, and then the center 13th circle. And this is a very powerful depiction called 12 around 1 geometry. And 12, of course, connects to so much of of our reality here. You know, there's 12 dimensions to the universe. We have 12 months to a year, 12 signs of the astrology. I mean, it just goes on and on. There's so much about what I would call unity consciousness, or the law of one, revolving around 12, and even the 12 tribes of the great central sun. So they are the co-creators of the original human. So this 12 around 1 that Metatron's cube is embodying and embedded in, think of it as those 6 and 6. They're circling around an original center source. So when we use it in our own field, when we step into the center of that 13th circle, then those 12 cones or pillars start to vibrate with the 12-dimensional tones of our universe, the harmonics. They begin to start to radiate outwards and expand and start to spiral in a vortex around that source consciousness, which is you. You're standing in the center of it. It's activating literally around your body, around your aura. And this is the blueprint that connects us to just endless dimensional grids and gates of our universe. So that's where it starts to open you to the quantum field, starts to open you to all that, you know, the double helix lockdown was blocking us from. It starts to open you up to the higher dimensions and infinite holographic realities that we weren't able to access before. So there's so much embedded in that beautiful template. It boggles the mind. But when we work with it, a couple of things that it would do. Those outer 6 circles start to rise up as pillars. The inner 6 circles start to rise up as pillars. The outer 6 are going to go around your aura. The inner 6 are going to go around your body and into your chakra pillar. And as they begin to get activated, they start to tone with the 12 sound waves of our 12 dimensions, and they begin to rotate anti-clockwise.
Okay.
Now it's, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to stop you right there. Okay, so for my own benefit, I've just wanted to just really integrate this more. I remember working with the Melchizedek double tetrahedron process, and I remember laying it all out in my room, and getting the points all set and visualizing it, and so I assume that this is similar. You're you're creating. You're visualizing it, you're sort of manifesting it in the imaginal realm. So there's 6 pillars. They're pillars of light.
Yes.
Like how, or you might think of beams, like
Yes.
How thick are these beams?
Let's see. I think when they first start out, and as you're beginning to work with them, they're fairly narrow. But they will go all the way up.
Okay.
So they're going to go up to your higher self. They're going to go all the way up the dimensions. Each of your chakras and your chakra pillar are connected to one of the dimensions. So as you rise up, these pillars are reaching into all those dimensions.
So you have 6 circles sort of tightly around your body.
Yes.
Okay. You're standing in the center, and you have 1 pillar in front of you and 1 pillar behind you, and then 2 beside you?
Yes.
Okay. And then how far out are the other 6 pillars?
They're on the other side of the inner circle of pillars, but they're going to start to expand and rotate out, spin out at a 45-degree angle. So they're going to be advancing out around your aura.
How far away from the inner pillars are they, would you say, approximately?
Hold on, I've never checked that before. Pretty close, I would say within a foot.
Ah, okay.
Because it's the base at your foot, where you're standing. Then they start really diverging as they go out.
So it radiates out in almost as they rise and as they start to spin, it starts to form more of a cone.
Yes.
And then do the pillars come to a point beneath you?
They're coming out of Metatron's cube. You're literally going to stand on Metatron's cube.
Okay. Okay.
Are you saying, do they go down into the Earth's grid?
Yeah. I mean.
Yes, they can.
Okay. 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 So now you talk about the spin.
Yes. All right, the spin.
These 12 pillars are spinning counterclockwise.
Yes.
Myself is being in the center, and I am stationary, and then the pillars are rotating counterclockwise, correct?
Yes, from right to front to left to back. So it's going to go counterclockwise around. Now, this always brings up a lot of questions, because I guess I've never taken Dronvala's stuff, but I guess he says to do dual spin. I've never ever been guided to do the dual spin. I think that is the hijacked Metatron's cube. So when we work with the Christed or crystalline Metatron's cube, it's always going anti-clockwise, and so there's some reasons for this. In the time matrix, a clockwise spin causes molecular compression. So it's squeezing energy tighter, 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 till it creates a particle of matter, an atom of density. And so we're trying to do the opposite. We're trying to transfigure the body from tight density to becoming, radiating out and becoming light. So the goal is to reverse that. So Metatron's cube is helping us do a anti-clockwise time reversal, where we begin to unlock from the time matrix, dissolve that barrier of gravity between the physical body and the energy body, and unwind time density literally out of the body. I've had big clockwise torques coming out of my joints and shins and hips, and oh my god, my neck is, so we gotta get all that out so that we begin to expand. So anti-clockwise is expanding, clockwise is compressing. So when we start to expand and open our field, we're becoming more multidimensional, and we're starting to get back in alignment with our universal movement. Our planet is anti-clockwise, our sun is anti-clockwise, our great central sun is anti-clockwise. So we're trying to get our own, we haven't been spinning. We've been like a rock, right? We've just been dense. So we're trying, that's why I have such low vibration, low frequency. What is a frequency? It's a measurement of your oscillation, your spin rate. So as you're spinning faster, you're increasing your energy frequency. This is so important. We have to get used to spinning, you guys. So we have to get used to it. It's not natural to us because we've been so dense.
Fantastic. So it's an incredible technology that you're talking about. So, and then just quickly, because we want to do the meditation, but you're talking about connecting with your oversoul.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe just give us a little thumbnail. What is the oversoul? How are we connected?
Okay. All right. So as I've experienced it, once we get beyond time density, time matrix, our original God self or God spark exists in multiple dimensions and timelines. And so that would what we would call our oversoul. Meg, the aspect of Meg is just an aspect of the oversoul, the aspect of Dan, just an aspect of the oversoul, but we have, multiple expressions of our God self in different star systems and universes and however it is. So we want to start embodying the oversoul. We want to bring in all of our knowledge and wisdom and skills and abilities that we have learned and experienced and evolved from all these timelines. We want to bring it all in and really create this sacred home for the oversoul to come in and really merge with the human self. So you can call it your God. I guess I would call it your God self.
It's just amazing. It's I'm familiar with it through the Seth material, and it was elaborated on this on a concept of the reality of this oversoul, and yet it seems to be somewhat elusive within kind of general spiritual circles, and in non-dualism, it's just not included in that kind of spiritual cosmology. So it does feel like in this post 2012 like
acceleration
process, yes, that we are we're inviting we're open vessels to bring in the great self. And this is very exciting. So, and in your meditation, you are using the vortex as a tool as we rise up to connect with our great self. And then we bring it down into us.
So, good point. So we start to shift our flow of energy to become now a vertical flow. We go down, we ground, we go up, we get connected, and we bring it down again. So instead, in the time matrix, all our energy is going horizontally out, right? Oh, I want that, I want that, I want to, merge with you, I want, so we have to relearn that. We have to retrain ourselves so we're not going out anymore into the 4D astral plane. We're starting to stay inwards inside our own sacred space, our own chakra pillar, and connect now. And this is literally the divine direct pathway up to your oversoul and to source and to the universe, multiverse. So we begin to work with our energy. We go up, and then we can start bringing down all the abundance from our amazing universe that we were disconnected from because of the time matrix density.
Okay, so wonderful and so beautiful. So I think this is Meg's basic vortex meditation, which is available to us via her website. She can talk about that, but we want to do this, and so we can have questions maybe during kind of open mic and when we kind of open up questions, but really we want to experience this. We want to drop in, and I'm thinking, Meg, that you'll bring us through it. So it'll be about a 15-minute meditation, and that maybe at the end I'm just going to turn on a little music and we'll just stay in this space for a few minutes, so we can really just hold it.
Okay.
And so beautiful. And so, yeah, so let's make ourselves comfortable. And I don't know. Luminous, are you going to turn that off?
No, leave it
Oh,
on.
good, good,
72,
good, good.
I raised it up.
Oh, good,
It's
good,
kinda
good,
late.
yeah.
It's kinda cold.
We're a little chilly in the temple here.
Get your blankies.
And you probably recommend sitting?
Yes, I was just going to say that. If you can sit with your feet flat on the floor, that's the best, because we are opening up a vortex. So it's good to be grounded with your feet. And that way then you won't feel kind of lightheaded or vertigo or any of that. I'm going to just go through these real basic steps. Some of you have already done this with me. You're familiar with it, but I really want to let's really focus on what's happening, the alchemy that's happening as we're doing this, because as you get familiar with using this tool, the vortex spins around my field 24/7. I live in it now. And so I'm constantly using it. It actually adapts to your consciousness. So I could be doing other things and it just starts to balance me or clear something, or, you know, so this is something that we're going to get as alchemists and co-creators very adept at using. Okay, so to start, let's just kind of focus now inwards, because we've been doing a lot of talking. So we're just going to come in, take a couple deep breaths, focus into the body, into the heart, into the breath, and you're coming into your core center. We're locking our feet chakras onto the light grid of the 5D earth plane. And this is ley lines of light all along the surface of Gaia, just like meridians in acupuncture. So we're locking our feet chakras. They work like magnets, just locking on. And breathing in, starting to move the energy up and down vertically now. Breathe in, move the energy up and down your chakra pillar. As we're grounding into Gaia's 5D earth grid. So this is a choice we make. Every morning I get up, choose, lock on to the 5D earth grid, the light grid. Let's connect up to spirit. So we're going to connect to our beloved Mother, Father, Source, Creator. And breathe into your heart and make your conscious intention to connect to your oversoul presence, your God self, where you exist in all time and space. Breathing in, and you're also going to connect with your spirit team of angels and guides and master teachers, all who are supporting you here in your ascension. Now, we can't do alchemy without nature, so we're connecting to the nature spirits, the devas, the fairies, the elementals, again, bringing in the elements of air, fire, water, earth, and ether. So what we're starting to do is create a very powerful sacred space inside here. Now, we're going to work with Archangel Metatron, and imagine that he is embedding Metatron's cube, the crystallized Metatron's cube, under your feet and your grounding. So we're just going to put our feet right into the center 13th circle. We're standing in the center. And as we do that, it begins to activate it. Your light starts to go into it. Your life force starts to turn it on. It's very automatic. And now those 12 circles are starting to come alive. And this is where they begin to extend up as these beams of light. Outer 6 beams, inner 6 beams. There we go. And as they rise up, they begin to get power. And this is these are like energy transmitters. Okay, they're starting to vibrate. And each one of the 12 pillars or beams of light start to run the frequency of the 12 dimensions. So one for each, all starting to, just like a clock, 1 to 12, they're all starting to vibrate with the 12 sound waves of our universe, the 12 tones, the harmonics. Okay, there we go. Now they're starting to vibrate. Now, you may not hear this with your human ear, but you might start to feel them pulsing. They're starting to vibrate. When we get up into higher brain centers, you would hear them as the sacred sound of Om. But for now, let's just kind of tune into those beams vibrating. As they start to pick up that vibration, they begin to activate. And here they go. They begin to rotate. This is very gentle at first, but it starts to go from right to front to left to back. They begin to move around your body and your aura in an anti-clockwise spin. And I just focus into them spinning, and as they get faster, they begin to blur into each other, and they start to form a vortex of light, white light, diamond light. So let's get them going faster. We want to get them going to at least the speed of light, if not faster. And then this is where you're going to start to feel the increase of frequency. Whew, there it goes, going faster. And it's trying to balance everything inside it. It's also trying to blend everything inside it. So it's trying to unify you. So as we keep it going faster and faster and faster, we want to focus in on unlocking the time barrier. And this is what is separating. I see it right down the center of your body. The time barrier tries to separate masculine and feminine, light and dark, human and souls, just trying to separate physical body and energy body. So as we're spinning faster, it begins to dissolve that time barrier, because that's a clockwise compression. Whew, there we go. It's actually starting to unlock. Whew, we let that release. Releasing gravity, releasing the time barrier. Ooh, there goes more. And now we can really spin. And now we can get into our energy body. So focusing inwards to your chakra channel. We'll start at our feet, and we're going to take this spin, the one that's right close around the body, start tuning it inwards to your chakra pillar, your chakra channel. There it goes. Starts to pick it up. And imagine like you're just starting to spiral from your feet to your root chakra, and now you're starting to spiral counterclockwise up the body, up your chakra pillar, your chakra channel. And as you begin to go upwards, imagine you're clearing each of those chakras of density, of trauma, of pain and suffering. There you go. You're clearing memory. And you're creating an open channel all the way up to your higher self. Keep going up. We're going up through the physical chakras, past the crown, into the transpersonal chakras above the head. So there's 7 in the body, 5 above the head. Keep going up. Whew, as we get up to the top, a good strong spin up. At the 12th chakra, this is where we meet up with our higher self. This is your guardian, your gatekeeper of your chakra channel. And I always see a beautiful light being. So just make a connection like heart to heart with your beautiful higher self, your gatekeeper, your guardian. The higher self is trying to filter and prevent anything to get into your channel that would harm you or distract you. Just making a connection heart to heart with our higher self. The higher self is an aspect of your oversoul, like an intermediary between you and your oversoul. So as we're connecting with our higher self, let's go through that 12th gate. Each of these chakras are portals or stargates. So at the top 12th gate, we're moving through it. I always see it like a crystalline gate, a crystalline portal, and you're moving through it. We're going to go out of the physical particle field and into the virtual particle field, which is a field of shimmering golden light, as if you were like at the beach and you're watching sunlight on water. It's alive and vibrant. There we go. We're all starting to move into it. Now we just let go of being dense and become more liquid light, fluid light. There we go. Everyone's starting to shapeshift. Imagine you're like in a golden pool and you're just relaxing in, merging with the quantum field of all that is, past, present, and future, all dimensions, all timelines, is infinite holograms. There you go. This is where we reunite with spirit. We reunite with our abundant universe. We reunite with our oversoul wherever our soul exists in all timelines and dimensions and universes. You're going to connect to your soul through your unique soul frequency. Each and every one of us has our own vibration, like your fingerprint. It's unique to you. So you lock your command onto your soul vibration and command to connect to the totality of who you are, your divine self. your oversoul, I am presence. Even beyond earth. And you might feel it as a tingle first. This is an energy vibration that is you. You might sense it as different light, different colors, or feeling of love. But you're going to connect to the oversoul, and we're still in our spin. So we're going to use our vortex to start to bring the soul down the chakra channel into the body. So we went up, now we're bringing our soul back down. So breathe in, spin down and in, your soul light. You're made of light and sound, bringing in your soul's golden light and your soul frequencies, your tones, your sound waves. Bring it down and into the chakras, into the body, and really focus into that heart center, feeling the heart with soul love, soul light. This is your soul truth, your soul consciousness. Ooh, there you go. Imagine the heart's like an upward facing container. It's just growing even beyond the body. Filling in with your soul knowledge and wisdom, your soul mastery, your gifts. You're bringing this from all time and dimensions in. And it's spinning down and in. It's filling and growing, and it's starting to create this big golden sun, a torus, circulating of the soul's life force. It's coming in and it's coming out. Coming in, coming out. It's rotating in and around you. Comes up from the light grid, down from the higher self, filling you, fueling you. And one last step you can do is call your human self to come into the heart and embrace the divine self in the heart, where they connect heart to heart. And start to partner together and work as one. Ooh, there we go. And receiving the love from the soul's heart into the human's heart, so it heals and opens and expands into fifth dimension and higher. Ooh, breathe that in for a minute. Breathe that love in. For this is your truth. And we no longer have to be separated. And as you're breathing in your soul's light, your soul's love, let's also bring down from the abundant universe, like a funnel coming down your chakra channel, all the support you need to live your life fully, all the resources, all the love, all the connections, all of your abundance coming down, and let it come in and hold it inside you, into your heart center. So it gets into the magnetic fields wrapped around the heart. Oh, that's a good infusion. Breathe it in. Light language, light codes, soul blueprint, soul support. Matches you. Whew. And we stay in our heart center. We stay in the counterclockwise spin. Metatron's cube is starting to activate the 5 Platonic solids and the double tetrahedron Merkaba in your body and aura. And we begin to accelerate the development of our light body, which is the home for the soul to live in. It's the system helping us convert to crystalline cells, living on light, becoming light, beaming light. Just breathe that in. This is your divine inheritance. And we set that into motion now. And so it is. And so it is.
Hi, Meg.
Hi.
I can't see you. I can see me. Okay. So I just wanted to ask you, from anything maybe more current in your experience in terms of the reptilian energy and some of the other energies that hijacked us.
Mhm.
From your experience, have they left? I mean, I know what we have now are the humans or the human reptilians who are still operating from a certain place, obviously, because we're living in a world that's still corrupted and et cetera, et cetera. But do you know from your own experience whether or not we were actually free of the reptilians and the influence on a more physical level? Are they still around? I was told that they were not, and I'm just asking what you've gotten.
I have seen them continue to migrate off the planet. So I encounter very few of them now in the astral plane. I wouldn't say they're 100% gone yet, because I think some of them are still embodied in some of the leadership positions, still trying to hang on and control. But when, let's say in 2012, when I would like just ask for numbers, it was astounding, like 50% of the population were reptilian. And now it's diminishing to maybe 10%. It's getting much, much smaller. And I think part of it is they recognize their system's dying. And so they're going to be extinct. So they'd have to move on. They have to go either return home to Orion or go to another place. But they are understanding their time is running out.
And in this, I'm going to ask, I had an understanding, and when we think about reptilians and we have a reptilian brainstem, part of our brain. So a friend of mine was looking at the DNA, and you were talking about it today, that we have some DNA that's reptilian, some of these other, do you think that that's true? So it's like the reptilian brain is something that we develop because of that?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I thought too.
And most light workers have come into families of reptilian hybrid human code.
Yes.
For the very reason to bring the crystalline light into it, to start unraveling it. So I actually walked into a draconian soul. So it's they're like the big leaders, they're the big ass ones, and it's all unwinding. I think if you can keep pointing the crystalline light into your DNA, and it is unraveling out, and it does have a certain non-organic metallic energy in it. So do heavy metal cleanse as well. So it's just getting this stuff out of our system. But because their system's dying, their code is dying too. So kind of like how we feel like we're dying, our bodies are going through a degeneration, but it's temporary. If you continue to keep feeding crystalline light into your body while you're going through the degeneration of that hybrid code, you'll come out of it.
Yeah.
Great answer. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I have a quick question.
Okay, I just want to follow up on that. There is a lot of talk from Cobra and David Wilcock and Corey Good, who are referring to something called the event, and sort of like an energetic blast from the sun that's going to kick up this process to a higher level. What's your sense about all that?
I think it's happening in a sequence. I think since 2012, we are getting these solar flashes already, and they're building and they're getting stronger every time. And so in a way it is building up, but I don't think we have to wait for an event. I think we need to work with it now. It's happening now. I think if we had not been working with it and had not been gradual, and we just all got hit with one big solar blast, I think we would perish. It'd be too much. Look at how much we're dealing with just the symptoms with the solar flashes are getting now. So I would probably have, I contest some of what they're saying in that just wait for one event.
Thank you.
I may be unpopular, but that's just how it seems to be for me.
Fantastic. Okay, I know Denny wants to share, but I also
Just a quick question.
quick question. Okay, do you want to?
Sure, I can do it from here.
Okay.
Meg, when we were talking earlier, starting the meditation, and you were talking of Metatron's cube, I can't help but notice the similarity in the water crystal molecule, also a 6-pointed star. Is that coincidence? Could you say something about that?
I think it's exactly what you're saying, that crystals are forming from those Platonic solids. And so we have these gorgeous, elaborate water molecules that are crystals, and some of them literally look exactly like a Metatron's cube, don't they? I mean, it's
thinking of Dr. Emoto's work.
Yes, yes. So that feels like that's the original creational template of our universe, and we're trying to get that back inside us, because we
75% water.
Right, and I don't think we've been in harmonic code. You know, it's been a very disharmonic code based on the polarized forces of duality. So even working with our own, that's why sound healing so powerful, right? Harmonizing your water crystals, harmonizing your chakras. This is so important because we want to get into coherence again.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I would like to invite somebody from the online participants who would like to share. What would you like to say? Do you have a question? Do you have a quick little check-in?
Don't be shy.
It's very quiet out there in cyberspace.
I'll say something.
Ah, oh good, Pamela.
Oh, Pamela.
Okay, hold on. Let me make sure you're unmuted, Pam.
Yep, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Good.
Hi.
You're on.
I want to say thank you to both. I've been hearing about the 5D community, and also from a person named Darwin. Dan, I was not aware that you were doing this, and I'm so happy
Oh,
to find this. To me, it's like another step and notch in the belt. So
Yay!
community also. I'm also a sound therapist, Meg.
Okay.
And work with another group, Maya Nartumid, who speaks about us all going to the fully activated Metatronic aspect of light in ourselves and in our all of us. And so I was absolutely thrilled by the meditation that you gave us, and I was sitting here with this little guy.
Yes.
And it was like a visual aid. I actually sat on it.
There you go.
like a visual aid tool, and was just in awe of the visual that you gave with pillars of light and while looking at it at the same time. So I had a wonderful experience.
It will activate you by doing that.
Yes,
Yeah, it's coded in to do that.
Yeah, that's what I intuited. That's why I was like, oh my God.
Yay! You're right on it.
With my forks on people also, with the sound actually through this. So, but
That's great, Pamela. Yes. Yes.
The one question I had, I don't want to take up too much time, is we were speaking in our group, and when I meditate, I get the counterclockwise. I see this, and we were talking, and I thought, I'm familiar with Drum DeVos' work and how he says in the right, and it's the balance of the male and the female.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're male, you go one way. If you're female, you go to the other. And one of the things that came to me was the female's the counterclockwise.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really interesting in lieu of everything that's going on the planet. What do you have to say about that in regards to the Magdalene awakening? Everything.
Yes. So thank you. Great question, because it truly is part of the rising feminine or the returning feminine power is using the counterclockwise spin and using the right brain. We need that right brain for our psychic abilities. So, people seem to think, oh, we're all going to become, soft and mushy feminine. No, we're talking about other things. We're talking about the right brain. We're talking about the feminine spin, because that's activating all of us. So it's yes, great question. Everybody will benefit from using both.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
okay. Thank you, Pamela. And Pamela is part of the Mary Magdalene festivities that happen with the help of Christy Michaels. And we have somebody who's here from San Leandro who is also an enthusiast of Mary Magdalene and Sophia. Oh, Oakland, there we go. Okay, so good. Would any of you, and especially people who haven't been here before, would you like to share? Okay, do you want to come up here? That would help. It's kind of dark in
It's Wes here. I say she's saying.
Hi, Meg.
Hi.
I have 2 questions. Where do I look?
What's your name?
Mine's Kathy.
Hi,
And
Kathy.
I was the one that meditated with you up on Mount Shasta.
Ah, yes. You look familiar.
And so it's good to see you again and be here with you. And thank you for your talk. My question is, have you read the alien interviews from the Roswell incident?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's a story of somebody who interviewed one of the surviving aliens, and they go into the conversation about how and it's funny because I've been following you since then, and I attend all your meditations, and it says very clearly that there were fallen angels, Elohim were blown up, and that's what, like, a lot of this draconian thing is about. And but they were talking about how Archangel Michael, Metatron, and Melchizedek were all fighting with each other. And there's this whole thing that Archangel Michael's keeping the energies in that are the matrix that we're all stuck in, this whole, stuck into reincarnation over and over again. If you die here, you can't escape, and we're on this wheel of samsara. Do you know anything about that? And because it was like, oh my gosh, I meditate all the time with Meg. And how do we, I mean, I know it's how you feel, but how do you know if we're all not being misled still?
It's a good question, because I get this all the time. All right, so I think all of these warnings that are coming out through other spiritual teachers or like Ashiana Dean is a big one. Don't deal with Metatron. But my sense there have connected somehow to the false light and the false archangels that exist in the 4D astral plane. So they're going horizontally to these tricksters, if you want to call them. My higher self never let me do that. From day one, it was like, go up and don't talk to anybody or anything till you have passed through your gatekeeper. So that's my filter. My higher self is my filter. I don't talk to anyone out there. I go up. Think of it like your radio antenna. Your chakras are all radar dishes, right? I turn them all in, lock on my soul light stream, and I work that. My communication network is that way. And so always then I'm going up through all 12 dimensions and into the halls of Amente, which is the galactic halls of Amente of 13th dimension and higher. And that is the only place I talk to Metatron, Michael, and Melchizedek. I don't deal with any of them down here in the earth plane, because they are probably tricksters and can get us in trouble. And that might be where all these warnings are coming out about that. So I think it's really using your own channel. As you noticed, I never went outside my field. I stay within my own channel, and that was then. And I only talk to Christed souls. So when you get, 12th dimension and beyond, you're starting to get into the crystalline gates and the crystalline souls. I also don't astral travel through these lower gates. I think the 3D and 4D gates are going to be closed soon. So none of that stuff's going to happen anymore. So we just continue to work through the crystalline gates, the true law of one, even the law of one that Wilcock talks about, has been infiltrated. Anytime I read it, I get draconian attacks. So it's just keeping it real clean, you guys, so that eventually we won't have to deal with any of this. Eventually this will all be behind us. But for right now, it's all kind of a chaos field that we're dealing with. So that's how I've been able to get clean information from Metatron, so that it's always of a love index. It's real clean, it's real high, and it keeps us safe.
Great, that feels true.
It's good.
Can I have one more little question? I'm sure it's not little, but in the non-dual approach of things, that there is no world because it's a hologram, and yet there is. And as we go into this 5D reality or experience of our collective consciousness, what do you feel like it's going to look like? I mean, is it going to still be solid like this? I mean, what are we, once we get through this and we're all aware of our higher consciousness, do you think that we'll just be into these, the Brotherhood of the White Light show up? I mean, do you think that we're going to combine with some of these other cells, instill a holographic existence? What do you think is going to happen?
You know, when I look at the universe kind of from 12 dimension down, it is like a kaleidoscope of holographic realities. Like think of it all like movie sets. It's all shift, 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 shift. And so that's how the universe is. So as we expand more into that, we're going to morph. And we'll be able to, you know, in any moment lock onto, okay, I want to experience that holographic reality, or I want to experience this holographic reality. So we become very co-creative in a way. We become the singularity of our entire existence, and then where we lock our focus on that timeline, you know, that holographic slices then starts to materialize for us. So it's a little hard for the 3D mind, you know, that left brain to even know what that would be like, but we are doing it now in a way. It's just slower, so it's not flashing as fast, right? We can get into a holographic, like we can jump tracks now quite easily, you know, jump timelines. So it's happening now. It's just slower, so we can kind of acclimate to it and get used to it, and then we might start making some changes. I think it's just going to get faster. People say, you know, you talk so fast, you move so fast. Well, get used to it. We're spinning fast, you guys. So it will be like a kaleidoscope. It's going to be pretty incredible, and I think we'll be spontaneously creating as we evolve. So that's how we build this new world. You know, so it's like, you know, just chuck the old stuff. Don't even focus on it. Let's just focus on how this new community is growing and how we want to live in harmony with our beautiful planet and our universe and with each other and nature and all that. So that's focus on that and really start seeding that and play with the timelines, play with these holographic realities. If something isn't working, we can go in and self-correct fast. So it's, I find it very liberating and freeing, actually.
Yeah, it's beautiful. So would it be out of alignment to say that I'm committed to an enlightened civilization by 2035?
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
That's who I am.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to mail out the link to the YouTube video of Meg's talk.
Okay, great.
What's that?
Great.
Do we want to include the questions with the? Yeah, I know. These are really good. If people don't mind being on that video. Okay, okay, good. So there, Pamela asked a question from the online participants. And so, yes, so guess what? We're kind of winding down here. And I wanted to actually invite Meg to just share a little bit about, you know, what she currently is doing, or, you know, how people can plug into the work that she's doing. And yeah, how can people get, how can you give more to people?
Well, I will share with you my website's newercentral.com, and I always have some either workshop coming or an interview coming. I do every month at least one, if not two, global activations where we all come together. People are calling in from all around the world. I had like almost 800 people last time. It's a big group, it's growing. And we go to the Great Central Sun and we start working with the 12 tribes. We work with our oversouls, our I am presence, and we work on ourselves and we work on the planet, and we set our intentions, and they're so powerful. Everyone is either emailing in their intentions or they call in and speak them. And it's a movement. I've been doing this since 11/11/11. So it's been, geez, what, 6-7 years. It's growing. Everybody's getting involved. Everyone is really showing up, and I'm moved to tears every time we do these. So the next one coming up is in just like 10 days for the eclipse. We've got a Leo lunar eclipse, January 31st, and we'll be doing it at noon p.m. Pacific. And then 2 weeks later, we have an Aquarian eclipse. So we're going to do it again. So we hit these real powerful points, these Stargate points. March will be the equinox. So it's just coming together and doing our alchemy together, doing our co-creating. So those are my global activations. You can just go to the website and see in the calendar when the next ones are coming up and where to sign up. I think I'm going to be at the Conscious Life Expo. Actually, Deborah and I are putting on an Ascension panel there in Los Angeles in 3 weeks. I'm flying down there in 3 weeks. Corey Good's going to be on our panel, Lori Spagna, Mas Sajadi. So it's a great group of people, and we're going to focus on just what we've been doing today, focusing on Ascension topics and questions. So that's coming up. And then Deborah and I are going to do another panel at the San Mateo one in April. So just a few items coming that will be fun. So hope you guys can join us. It's just, what a movement. It's growing.
Beautiful. So we'll put your email, your website link on the video.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Well, thank you.
Wow. It's been great being here with you guys. Thank you so much. Just a thrill. You guys are awesome. Love the 5D Village. Thank you, Dan.
Good. Yes. 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 It's so 5D Village is fairly small and fairly sort of, we're incubating it, and this is helping to build the culture of safety and of the idea that we each have a voice. And we're equally, each of us are equally important in this process. And the idea is that we're, it's almost like the coming to the well and coming together and sharing and supporting, but really it's the work we're doing on a daily basis that's really the most important.
It's true.
I want to encourage that.
Yeah.
So let's just do a simple closing. So we're just so thankful for this circle, for us being together, for both online, in person, in spirit. We are just so, it's just such a great, wonderful thing to do this, and to open our hearts and to really connect to the highest levels of Christed energy is just so empowering. And we can do this. It's just a matter of setting our minds to it. We're so grateful for those beings who are living at that dimensional level, who are making themselves available to helping us to grow, to evolve, and to reclaim who we really are, and bring this little experiment that's going on here and on this planet Gaia back to it's the beauty that it really is. So we thank you, Great Spirit, Holy, Great Mystery, Great Self. Thank you, thank you. We honor you. We are you. And help us and let us go forth into this world. And so, aho.
So it is.
So it is.
Woo!
Hey. Okay. Bye, Meg.
Good night, everyone. Love to you all. Bye-bye.